guys, welcome back to Fandom Family Chats. I'm your host Maureen, and tonight we are joined with Amanda.
Hello.
And Tiffany.
Hello.
And tonight we are talking one of our very favorite shows. We're talking Schitt's Creek. We're talking Schitt's Creek Townies. So that is anyone that is not a Rose that lives in Schitt's Creek. Like there's some of the Alexis's friends come to town. We're not counting them. Some of David's friends come to town. We're not counting them. So just people of Schitt's Creek tonight.
Yeah. Our favorite.
Do you guys have a favorite townie?
Ooh.
See, no, that's a hard question.
I don't know.
Because when I think townie, I think every single one of them. And I can't, like, how do you choose between Roland and Ted? Or Jocelyn and Mutt? Like, I can't, maybe even Stevie, I wouldn't say she's my favorite because I love them all so much.
I know, that's a really hard. Let me think.
That is hard.
Ask me at the end.
All right, so let's do you have a favorite one, Tiffany, or are you also gonna wait till the end after we dissect them all?
Yeah, we can dissect first. It might change.
Well, let's talk the first townie we see, which is Roland. I love the opening scene with him where he's just watching them unpack everything.
Yes. After
After they've unpacked everything and done all the work, then he goes up to he's like, "Hi, I'm Mayor Roland." Shit. What a great introduction to him. And I love that Chris Elliott always has a physical ailment that he puts on his characters.
Yes.
And that stomach changes so much over the 6 seasons.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I love that touch.
And then he, of course, gives us a better glimpse of who he is with the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
When he smells it up and then says, "Oh, there's no window," and then tries to sit on their bed. And then when Johnny just tells him to get the F out, he takes away his doors.
It was such a great start.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Such a
It
great
really
start.
showed off the Roland character right from the beginning.
He is one of my favorites, but I think that has just as much to do with Roland as it does with Chris Elliott. Because
I love Chris Elliott. So
I think
anytime I see him, I think of what was that parody movie? Scary Movie.
Yeah.
I never saw that.
Oh.
Or if I did, it was in high school, which was a
The
long
mashed
time ago.
potatoes.
I always think there's something about Mary. That's what I think of when I see him.
He has a little hand.
Does he? Oh, I do remember that.
And he scoops the mashed potatoes with it and throws it on the plate.
He's amazing.
He's so brilliant. He really is.
I think if we could get him on the show, I would be a happy girl. It would be amazing. I think
I'd be laughing way too much.
I think my husband would insist on being a part of our podcast for that one.
He'd just be sitting right behind you.
He'd be pageant momming it. But I think too that like you look at Roland at first, it's like, what is wrong with this dude? He has a chemical imbalance, but he's so needy.
Oh my gosh. I just watched the one today where Johnny's trying to get the sign changed. He's trying to explain to Roland why this sign is inappropriate. Well, that's not his wife, that's his sister.
That's my favorite scene of the show. Where Roland, what he actually says is, oh, I see the problem. I see the problem. That's not actually his wife. That's his sister. And Johnny says, Roland, how does that make it any better? And he says, well, I don't know about you, Johnny, but where we come from, we don't do that sort of thing with our sisters. That's my favorite line. And then Johnny says, Roland, how are they going to know when they're driving by that that's his sister? Oh, yeah, I can see that might be a problem. And then the solution is to put up a sign with an arrow that says it's not it. That's just his sister.
Oh my gosh.
Yep,
Okay.
that made it so much better.
Oh,
That's
man.
that's my
I was dying
favorite
today.
scene from that one. Like that's the only like I've watched this show 3 different times all the way through, but that is the one scene that I can actually quote of the parts because I just love it so much. It's so brilliant.
Oh yeah. This whole show is really brilliant.
Yes. And so when we were watching it the first time and he introduced himself as Roland, we're like, oh, okay, that's Roland. And then it clicked when he said later on, I'm Roland Schitt. My husband just about lost his mind when he heard it all put together.
It's oh
What a
Oh my gosh.
horrible, horrible name.
oh I know. And I love the kind of the story behind how they came up with this whole idea. Daniel and Eugene.
I don't think I heard
Levy.
that.
They came up with it like during dinner. I would have to look up the exact what happened, but they came up with it after dinner, and they were kind of just throwing around jokes, saying like,
I thought you were going to say drugs for a minute.
So did I.
they were throwing around jokes like, oh, if we would be named like, I think it was like they said like Schitt City or something like that, and the grocery store would be called like Schitt's Groceries, and Schitt's Bank, and that's kind of how they started with the idea of the show, and it like progressed from there. But I always love that. I do all the facts for the group, so
Yes, it's true. It's true.
I have to look up a lot of stuff.
I
Weird
like
stuff.
too how Roland changes through the series.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, he's always essentially Roland. I don't think Chris Elliott has it in him to play a normal character. That's not true. I think he has it in him. I don't think he ever wants to play a normal
He wants
character.
to, yeah.
It's what it is. Because he's an excellent actor. I think he could play normal, but I don't think he wants to. And I like that, like, as it progresses, you see a different side of him. You see him get closer to Johnny. You see Johnny appreciate him more. But in that scene where he takes his drawers and then Johnny goes over there and you just see him kind of say, you could tell at the root of his problem was that Johnny didn't take him seriously, and Johnny didn't think he was good enough, and Johnny didn't think he was worth this time. And that was Roland's whole issue with him.
Mm-hmm.
So Roland just wants to be appreciated. Roland just wants to be seen as someone of value. And I think for someone like Johnny Rose, who's never been in town before, to see him as a source of authority was important. And then like, as he goes on, and the first instance where you really see that softening, like you can kind of tell because they become friends, but on their annual party, the pig roast, the
Mhm.
luau, you really see that softening in Roland. And I really, really like that. Like
Yeah.
when Johnny's like, my son is pansexual. That means he likes everybody. And Roland goes, my son lives in a barn. Like, he just wants a friend to talk to. He just wants a guy who is of substance that sees something in Roland that is of substance. And I like that you could get that full rounded evolution of his
Yeah.
character.
Definitely.
Enough to eventually become business partners with Johnny. Like, he actually
Yeah.
bought that second
Yeah.
motel. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
remember
when it first came on at that first episode, I did not see that ever happening.
No.
no, definitely not.
That episode where they both, the Roses and the Schitts, both wanted to stay in that presidential suite.
That's funny.
That was a really good episode. Okay, so do we have anything else we want to say about Roland?
I'm sure he'll be brought up again and again.
How about Jocelyn?
Oh, Jocelyn.
I like for like the first 5 seasons, she doesn't stop smiling.
I know. I love her. I love her so much. And
He's very bubbly. I like the episode when she's trying to get David to plan the baby shower and she's all frazzled. She's just so un-Jocelyn like. That was probably my favorite Jocelyn episode.
I like how she just takes it when they start throwing Tic Tacs in her mouth. But you can tell the look on her face, her eyes just keep going side to side, like, what is happening right now? But she takes it.
I was just again today watching the one where she's talking to Mutt
Mm-hmm.
and Alexis and had thought she saw
Yeah.
Mutt and Jocelyn together. So she starts spreading that rumor. And then just Johnny and Moira sitting in that cafe watching her kiss Mutt. And they're like, oh my gosh. And then
Doesn't Roland walk up and
Roland
Roland's like,
walks up.
you went to go see him, didn't you?
You went to see him, didn't you? And their faces are just like, what? I love that.
Johnny and Moira don't want to be involved in anything, and Roland and Jocelyn want everyone to be involved in everything.
Yes, apparently. Yeah. No, I love Jocelyn.
When she asked Moira to come and speak to her students, and Moira goes a little nutty, she still sat there with a smile on her face. But the only indication that she's getting upset is her eyes get really wide. But the smile is always there.
You can't say bastards.
And she gets people to do what they wouldn't normally do. Like for David, she got to do multiple things for her. Go talk to that gay kid at the school, right? That she didn't call him gay. What did she call him? She wouldn't come out and say that. I don't remember how she got David to talk to him. She was saying something like a kid who is struggling and is like you, I think she said, or something like that, but she wouldn't come out and say the word gay or homosexual or anything like that.
Pansexual.
Yeah. Well, that's what David is, but I think the other kid called himself gay. He said, I'm a gay kid in wherever. But when David said, the fact that you're asking that I should be in charge of anyone's life should scare you like a lot. And Jocelyn still somehow got him to come. Jocelyn still got him to do the baby shower. Jocelyn got Moira to go to the salon and get a Jocelyn makeover.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. That was great.
That was amazing.
That was a good one.
Something.
And even then, she knew that Moira hated it, and she still came up with a smile on her face. And even when she said, "You hate it, don't you?" she was still smiling.
She's hilarious. Just as an actress, she's hilarious.
Yes. Everyone on this cast, supporting or otherwise, is amazing.
Yes.
I don't know how they managed to do that.
She plays in the Ginny and Georgia.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. And she's hilarious in that. She's they live across the street from the Millers.
Okay. Does she always have a smile on her face?
No.
She is very different from Jocelyn.
Yes. But she makes me laugh a lot in that show too, though.
Yes, she does. Yep.
She's just funny in a different way.
Yeah.
Well, now that makes me want to watch that show. Just that alone.
Oh my gosh, I love her in that. Because I'd already watched Schitt's Creek before I watched Ginny and Georgia. Yeah. So as soon as I saw her come on that screen, I was like, oh yes. She did not disappoint.
There's that scene when they go over to their house for the fondue party, and Roland convinces Moira to slap him, or is trying to. And Jocelyn's like, no, he loves it. Like, we have to role play it a lot. And she just willingly offers. She's so vulnerable and willingly offers that information to people that it's like, you don't know these people and you're telling them about that.
Apparently.
And even when Moira and I don't remember. I think they were going over there I think it was for the baby shower. And they said, well, oh no, it was, I think Johnny and Moira wanted it for something. And they're like, well, we'll just clean this up a bit. And she was like, I did just clean. And they're talking about getting rid of all of her tchotchkes. And she's like, I like those. But every time, again, always they're insulting her to her skills to her face. And she's smiling every time she says, I like those, or I did something. But then we see a whole different side of Moira, still with the smile on her face. But when they are trying to go to that Poison concert, and it's what, the Wiggles?
Yes.
Is that what it is? If you are in our group, by the way, is called Schitt's Creek Rose Family Fan Club on Facebook. We did a Jocelyn character spotlight week. And that was my quote, was from that Wiggles concert, where she said something like, if you would have told me back then, I'm going to look it up because it's so funny. And she's brilliant, that woman. hang on, I have to look it up now. But she cuts her hair in that episode, and I like the reaction of everybody when she comes up because everyone loves Jocelyn so much that they don't actually want to insult her. So all of them are like, oh wow, yeah, that looks great. But it could the whole time she kept going, yeah, it's different.
It's different.
She says, if you'd have told me 20 years ago I'd be standing here with an empty chip bucket, stoned out of my mind at a Doodle Bobs concert, I would have lit a menthol and had a laugh. And then she goes and chops all her hair off because of something Moira said.
Oh man.
I gotta say, the way she cut her hair was not a great look for her.
No.
I think it was just because she, instead of like the weird spike thing, she like spiked it straight out. So it always looked like she was in flight.
It did.
And I think that as the show got on, she herself didn't get less sexy, but her character dressed less sexy as the show went on. Because when you first see her and she's teaching the high school students, she wears like the low cut tops and she wears like the form-fitting jeans and she wears the high heels and she has her makeup and her hair. And then as the show goes on, she wears fewer and fewer and fewer of those. And then she gets, and oddly, that's when she gets pregnant, is when she's not wearing as many low cut tops is when she gets pregnant.
Oh man.
I like the sweater with the kitty cats on it.
Oh yes, that one's amazing. I think that someone should make that so we could buy that. It'd probably be like hella expensive though.
I'd buy
it. Do you have anything else you want to say about Moira or a favorite thing about Moira or favorite scene?
Jocelyn.
Yeah, Jocelyn. That's what I meant. I'm gonna try that again. Do we have anything else we had to say about Jocelyn, or anybody have a favorite moment about Jocelyn? I gave my favorite line from Jocelyn.
Favorite Jocelyn.
I like that you say that, like, because there are different Jocelyn personalities as the show goes on.
There really is. And I'm like trying to pick one.
She never stops smiling ever. We've talked about this. I've said it like 17 times in the last 5 minutes. But her smile gets harder and it comes with a whole lot more edge by the end of that show.
I love her personality.
When Alexis is singing her song, a little bit of Alexis as she's trying out, and Jocelyn's face, Jocelyn actually threw her whole body back against the chair while she watched it. And even then, it was Moira who had to interrupt. Like, Jocelyn clearly knew it was wrong, clearly knew that was really terrible, and she still would interrupt. She would not offend Alexis.
No. Let the poor girl finish.
That is not Moira's way to do things. Even Moira couldn't listen to that whole thing. Didn't Alexis say at the end, but there's a whole other verse.
Yeah.
Yikes. Tiffany, do you have a favorite Jocelyn moment?
I said my favorite episode. Let's see if I have another one.
Which was your favorite episode?
The one where she has David plan her baby shower.
Oh yeah.
I just like how frazzled she is. She's so funny. I love Jocelyn.
She bought that giant baby piñata.
Oh my gosh.
I like when she brings the tea up to David and asks him if it's actually tea.
Oh yeah.
The door opening.
Didn't they do that so they could ask him about the baby shower? Or was that something else? Or was it a thank you?
No, that was the store opening episode.
I know, but I thought that in the store opening, it was the soft opening, right? Like, what?
Yeah.
There was like wine and stuff. I thought they went up to him and asked him a question. Maybe that was at the open mic night though.
They were asking about the discount.
Okay.
Because everybody was trying to combine 25 and 25 to get 50 off.
It's just so good. Every retail worker in the world can sympathize with that.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's talk about Mutz. He's the next one we see.
Oh, he's so pretty.
Yes, he is. I think
he's so pretty.
Part of it for me is that voice.
Yeah.
Like, I love his voice. It's just so, it's sultry. It's just like, ooh.
It is.
And I like how dark his hair is. I don't know why that's my husband's hair is really, really dark. And I
I don't
like
know.
that
I
Mutt's
like
is
his beard.
yeah.
I don't
I
like.
think the
I'm
fact-
sorry, Tom, out there, but I don't like you, Tim.
It is. Yeah, Tim Rosen.
Tim.
R-O-Z-O-N.
Why I said Tom. Tim. It's my son's name. Anyways, no. Anytime I see a picture with him with no beard, it looks wrong to me now. I'm like, no. Sorry.
Mutt has to have a beard, Tim. Sorry. And
He
you're always
has
Mutt.
to.
That's your lot in life now.
It's a compliment. It looks really good.
I think the fact that his hair was so dark was why he looked so weird without the beard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because his face is, he's not a tan dude. He's not like a dark dude. He's really white.
Yes.
Really white.
But with such
Like a
dark hair,
little-
you need to be a little bit darker.
Like a
Gotta even things out. It can't be like a yin yang.
Which is what it is without the beard.
I like that the
Yeah.
first time we see him, he's open shirt at a fire, and
Mhm.
Alexis just goes up and starts making out with him, and he just like, okay, we're gonna roll with this. We're just gonna play this out.
And then that next day he goes into the cafe to get the compost.
Oh, she thinks he's homeless.
She's like, so what do you do with those table scraps? He like pour?
He just takes the cafe's garbage and eats it, Alexis. That's what he does. How hard up would you have to be to do that?
Oh my gosh. That part kills me.
I like Tim plays a really, really good confused guy. And like everything Alexis said was like, what are you talking about? What is wrong with you?
I think that's how anybody would
Mhm.
react to Alexis.
And I think my favorite episode with Mutt is actually between him and David when he goes to build this chest. And Tim's like, or not Tim, Mutt is like, well, I can't not help people when I see that they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
He's so like, he never says anything outwardly cruel, but he's not like super black and white. He wants to not hurt people's feelings, but he's very what's the word? He's just very honest about things. What he said is, yeah, well, I can't not jump in and help when I see someone doing something wrong.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
The whole time, like he's talking about Alexis, he goes to, and I like that when he first starts talking to David about it, David's like, she's driving you crazy, isn't she? No, she's not. She's just always, David says, there. Yeah, she's always there. I like how independent Mutt is from his girls. Like even with Twyla, like he was very independent from her. With Alexis, he was very independent with her. He maintained himself and he didn't compromise for anybody. I like that.
Yeah.
Even for his parents.
I liked Mutt.
I like him a lot. He and Twyla are actually in a new show now. Have you guys watched that? It's on the Sci-Fi
No.
Network.
I haven't seen it yet, but it looked good.
Did you not know about it, Amanda?
Yes.
I didn't.
Oh, she did.
Yeah,
You
I
did?
saw the trailer. It looks. I did. No, I haven't seen it yet. I don't have the Sci-Fi channel. I have an antenna, and then I have all the streaming channels, so I don't have an opportunity to watch it. But his IMDb profile looks real good, though.
I know.
His IMDb profile is very nice. It's called Surreal Estate, and he and Twyla. I think he plays Luke Roman, who I think he's the owner of the real estate company, and then Twyla plays one of the real estate agents who was just hired, and they sell homes that can't be sold because of paranormal activity. There's one scene where Twyla, well, it's not Twyla, it's Sarah Levy, but she is showing a couple in the house, and she's very much like Twyla on there. So we're going to segue into Twyla here. But there's a blood curdling scream, and the people are like, what was that? And she turns around, very Twilight, like, big smile on her face. The pipes. What? No, but if you guys are listening to this and you haven't seen Surreal Estate, it looks really good. Watch it and tell us how it is, because some of us don't have access to that channel, can't watch it. I hope Hulu picks it up or something.
I had to get on his IMDb and
That's where I
look
was.
at it.
And the other thing too, if you're listening to this, if you have not seen Tim Rosen's, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. If it's Rosen or Rosen, but
Rosen?
because it's Rozon.
Yeah.
But if you have not seen it, go to his IMDb profile page and just stare at his profile picture for a little while.
It's pretty big on my computer right now. Just saying.
It was really hard for me when Alexis chose Ted over Mutt at first, because I was like, dude, Mutt is clearly the superior one here. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Well, actually, she chose Ted over Mutt at first, and then chose Mutt afterwards. But I'm looking to see if you can find it on anywhere else. But I was kind of like, come on, man. Ted is nice, but Ted is Ted, and Mutt is Mutt.
Yeah. But I think I don't know. I was happy how it turned out.
Oh, absolutely. Because I always liked Ted, but Mutt he was very mysterious, and he was very, again, he has that voice.
Mm-hmm. He does.
But once he shaved the beard, I admit it was kind of like, I'm gonna side with Twilight on this one. I'm gonna go with that. But he looks really good in Surreal Estate.
Does he?
Yes. Okay, so you can watch it on Fubo, DirecTV, and whatever that little symbol is. On demand. That's what it is. Spectrum on demand.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any of that.
No, me either. So let us know how Surreal Estate is. Right. Do we want to talk about what? Okay, you guys have a favorite Mutt moment or Mutt? I already said my favorite Mutt quote and scene.
I really think that compost one is one of my favorites. It gets me every time.
Every time we do these podcasts, I find myself just wanting to pull it up and watch it while we're talking.
I know.
I just want to watch it now.
I
We're
know.
talking, just watch it. Tiffany, do you have a favorite Mutt scene or line or episode?
I think the episode when he shaves his beard off is probably my favorite, because I like the banter back and forth between him and Alexis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a good one.
And he is one too. His character is one that we don't see a ton of growth or change from, which I think is okay, because Mutt already, and I think that's the difference, is that the reason Mutt didn't have a relationship with his dad is because Mutt already knew who he was, knew what he wanted to be, knew what he wanted in life in general. He was very self-aware. And I don't think anyone else in the town really was.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we don't see a lot of growth in Mutt, because I mean, he moved into a barn because he wanted to live a certain way. He used compost and did doesn't Johnny call it hippie lifestyle at one point? I thought somebody called it a hippie lifestyle. I don't know who did, but somebody called it a lifestyle. Yeah. And so he knew that from before the show premiered, that was the lifestyle he wanted, that was the kind of person he wanted to be. He was very sure of himself. He didn't have any questions. And so I think that's why we don't see a lot of growth in him. And I think that was good. I think the show has a good mix of people who have growth and development and people who don't need it, because they're solid in who they are and know who they are.
I agree.
But I think a lot of the show has to do with like people finding themselves. And I think even the Roses helped the Schitts find themselves. That is so funny to say that name every single time I say it. I was watching, I think in our chat, Jolie might have sent it, of Moira and Johnny, well, Catherine O'Hara and Daniel or Eugene Levy on Ellen. And when she said Schitt's Creek, she bleeped herself. Like, did you just bleep yourself? Yeah, it's daytime TV. I can't say that.
I haven't seen that one yet. I have to go back and look.
It's so I feel, because I don't usually swear, so saying it is like, I feel like my kids are around, I feel like I have to whisper Schitt's Creek. And then my daughter saw me working on edits for it. She's like, Mom, what's that spell? Nothing. Get out. All right, so do we want to go into Twyla next, or do we want to go into Ted next?
Let's jump in Twyla.
Okay. I love her.
I do too.
Freaking love Twyla. She's another like Jocelyn. Just And she's another one
Makes
who
it
we
happy.
don't really see a lot of growth in. Her and Mutt knew who they were.
Yeah.
And Twyla was so, I mean, maybe Twyla got a little more, I don't want to say firm because I don't think she's ever really needed to be firm, but I think that she was like in the end when she handed Alexis her money, she didn't take no for an answer. It's like, here, no, this is for you. You're just going to take it. That's just how it is. And I
Mhm.
like that that's how her personality was. And Twyla didn't need a lot of growth. I think one of her jobs was to help the others grow. But I really like her. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I could pick a favorite scene or line from Twyla because all of her lines were just pure gold.
Yeah, they really were. I just love all of her background stories.
maybe the dinner episode when they all go to Ted's house for dinner and she's like, I used to have a cousin who turned tricks. Her name is Trixie. And Mutt's like, I don't think this is a good time to talk about this. Well, when is a good time to talk about my cousin who hooks? Or when is a good time to talk about Trixie? She said her cousin hooks. So she maybe that's my favorite one, just because the terminology, I've never heard it referred to as hooks before.
I don't think I have either.
When is a good time to talk about my cousin Trixie?
Oh,
And
man.
I like how she can render a room speechless, but also very supportive of her at the same time. Like every time she tells those stories in the cafe, it almost always ends up with one of the roses going, okay, and then looking down at their menu. It's just nothing else to say after that.
Nope. She said what she needed to say. I always love her.
I will say that I think she does need to stand up for herself maybe a bit more, but I don't think she really sees the need to. Not because she doesn't, because I think she sees a lot of value in herself. I think that she loves the person she is. But
Mhm.
like when Alexis and Mutt start dating, she was clearly upset by that, but she would rather just sit on that than say anything to Alexis, except for I think once she brought up that, she was dating her. It was when they were having problems, Mutt and Alexis were having problems, and she went up to Twyla to get advice on how to not have problems with her ex-boyfriend. And I think it's the only time Twyla even ever mentioned it. So I part of me just does wish that she could, I don't know, just get it off her chest or something.
Yeah. I think she always felt like she stayed to herself a lot.
Mm-hmm. She also wouldn't be Twyla if she did that too.
Very true.
And
I
I
like
think,
her.
yeah, I do too. I mean, if you don't like Twyla, I'm sorry. If you're listening to this,
Something's wrong with
don't
you.
like Twyla, go get yourself checked into a hospital because you've fallen on your head and hit it very hard. Because she's amazing. And Sarah Levy is so funny. She has
Yes.
such great comedic timing. I mean, it's got to run in that family.
I think it does.
Trying
Yeah,
really hard to
there's
not
all
one
talk
three of
talented
them.
family.
Mhm. I'm trying really hard to not talk about Daniel Levy.
It is hard.
It is super hard to talk about this show and not talk about David Rose, who is,
Yeah. I've almost said like 3 different stories.
especially when you're talking about his sister.
I know. I was like, ooh.
Do you guys have a favorite Twyla moment, scene, story? I mean, she's got a lot of good stories, that one.
I think my favorite is just when she tells these outlandish, crazy, insane stories.
Yeah.
In the most awkward settings.
She does it so casually, like it's the most
yes.
normal thing ever.
I think that's my favorite thing about her.
She just slips in and out of conversation. And again, the smile never leaves her face.
No. It's just that I think that's my favorite. I can't break it down to one, but when she does that.
What was the Spanish sentence that her uncle learned to say when he was in prison? Something about how ouch it hurts or something like that. I wish I could remember some of her stories, but they were all so hilarious and there were just so many of them that I cannot remember them all. I wish I could remember more of them. She was oldie in 63 of the 80 episodes. I feel like she's in everyone, but she was only in 63 of the 80 episodes. The
I didn't
only
realize that either.
Stevie and Roland were the only two who had near that. They had 79 and 78 episodes they were in. But then Jocelyn was in 65 and Sarah Levy was in 63. Weird.
I just looked up some of Twyla's stories.
Yeah, let's share some.
All right. When the Roses discover they've become disconnected from their children, Johnny asks Twyla about her own parents. My mom has this thing where half the time she thinks I'm her cousin Angela, and she tells him who. And it's getting harder and harder to coordinate visitation times with my dad in prison. Just walks off.
Oh, Twyla. The quote that I did for our Twyla fan character spotlight was, I'm just gonna put these plates down. I just think I'll think better once the blood rushes from my arms back to my head. That was when Johnny was cornering her to try to ask her about a job, and she was carrying like 7 of those really heavy dining plates in her hand.
Yep.
I like the episode when she's planning the murder mystery party.
Oh yeah.
And everybody's just like, she has the worst parties. What they say last year, she forgot to choose
Yep.
a murderer, and the year before she chose 3.
I just, when they were talking about the one from the year before, like it was 4:00 in the morning before anyone realized what was going on. Wasn't David the only one who showed up to that party? It was just David and like 3 or 4 other people,
Yeah.
I think. The people that David convinced to go.
Yeah.
But then Moira, who had convinced him to go, didn't even show up.
I got a good Twyla story.
Yes, let's do another one.
All right. Twyla says to Alexis, my best friend in kindergarten ran away and her parents didn't notice, and she ended up getting adopted by this really rich Asian family in Vancouver. But then they had their own kid, so she kind of got neglected a bit. And I can't remember whether she's back on the streets now or... That's it.
She's so phenomenal. I love her.
Oh,
Sarah
my
Levy, can you please come on here and talk to us, please?
God.
We won't even require you to be Twyla while you're talking to us, though we would love it. We would really appreciate you coming on the show. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, one more.
Okay, one more.
One more.
Because there's like 100 of these.
I know. I gotta stop reading him after this one. Between you and me, I know how hard it can be to pay off debt. My Uncle Ken only has 3 fingers now, which is too bad because he's deaf. And he only speaks using sign language. I just can't.
Oh my God, my sides hurt.
Oh, it hurts. Okay, I gotta close out of this.
Yes, please. Please move forward. I'm gonna have to edit out all this.
I might do a lot of those for the group.
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh.
Twyla's so
Okay.
I just love her. And then when at the end when she lived so selflessly and she lived so minimally. No one knew she owned the diner. No one knew she had all that money. No one knew any of that because you couldn't tell. She didn't lord it over anybody. She didn't boast about it. She wasn't like anything. I love at the end when Twyla was like, you won $250,000. And Twyla was like, no, I didn't win all $250,000. And Alex was like, oh, good, because I mean that was a lot of money. And she's like, I just had to split it with 4 people. That's still a boatload of money.
Yeah.
And she never lived like
Never
it.
knew.
She was never altered. And I think that the starkest thing for Alexis was that, I mean, the Roses were really wealthy and they displayed it and they showed everyone and they kind of held themselves above everyone else because they had the money. But Twyla never once never once did that. And she continued to work. She continued to do it. And I think, didn't Alexis ask her why she did it? And she said, because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Mhm.
And then she gave Alexis money to encourage her and to instill faith in her that you can do this. You can go out and you can do this. And she's so selfless and she's so kind. And yes, she's hilarious, but she's super selfless and she's kind. And you hear the stories of her family, which are clearly messed up.
Mhm.
And she loves them just the same. She, in fact, almost boasts about them. That's what those stories are. She's almost boasting about how great her family is. And it takes a really special person to do that. So I think I just really, really love her.
Oh yeah. I agree. She's I think she might be my favorite.
Mm.
I'm not gonna make my choice until the end.
I almost said I agree, but I could literally say that about everyone that we've talked about so far. Like if you were to say that for any of them so far, I'd be like, yeah, I agree. They're my favorite.
I know. So I can't. Yeah, I'm still gonna have to wait.
All right. Do we want to, anything else we want to say about Twilight before we move on to another townie?
No, I gotta rest my cheeks for just a second.
Well, the next one we'll go into is Ted. I think. Yeah. Makes sense to go into Ted. That sounded really dirty. Does that make sense to go into Ted? That's not what I meant, but it's just...
It's a sister. It's okay.
What? What?
It's a sister. It's okay.
Oh. I was like, wait, that's a storyline I didn't catch. I'm slow tonight, people. I'm slow. Yeah, so we see Ted and he's first like this nerdy guy and he's just very sweet. I think he always he stays very sweet all the time.
Mhm.
But I think that the first breakup with Alexis really helped him to care about himself more than he had been. Because I think he held himself so low on the totem pole because Alexis didn't really treat him well. And he was still like, I'm still going to be with you. You treat me kind of bad and you don't make me feel good, but I'm going to be with you because you're beautiful and I like you. But it's good that, and he still ended up with her. But I think the reason they were better the second time is because he didn't put himself at the bottom of anybody's list anymore.
Yeah.
And he never deserved to be on the bottom of anybody's list because Ted's awesome.
Yeah, he is. He wasn't, I don't think he's my favorite. But
he is awesome.
I really enjoyed his character.
Yeah. Tiffany's just thinking hard about that.
It's funny. I like him and Alexis together. I just love their banter back and forth. They're so funny.
I'll go ahead and tell you my favorite Ted moment, and that's when he kissed David.
Oh, yeah.
Come here, big guy.
And I love how Alexis gets mad.
Whoa, that is enough of that. And even Patrick is jealous. Like, dude is straight as an arrow and he's hammered kissing a gay man. Do you really think there's something to be worried about there?
No. Everybody else knew no.
And then Patrick and Alexis kiss and David just watches on and just delight.
It's not going to bother him.
I think that's the only time we really see Ted drunk, isn't it?
Well, he got a bad reputation after that.
No, he did not. There's no way. I mean, his reputation for stripping down was an accident in front of the rabbits.
Oh, yeah. That was another good one.
I think one of my favorite scenes with him might also be that dinner at his house. When he was like, does everyone know that you're... He just put his fingers in there like, who... Like, there's nothing about that is subtle, man. There's this super crass, not subtle at all. And what if it was just a one-night stand? That's really offensive. But Ted was so oblivious to social standards that he just did that. That's probably not my favorite scene, but that scene makes me laugh. That was one I used for our Ted Spotlight Week.
I like the lice episode. I think that's my favorite.
Oh, God. That was so... I like that episode too.
That was sweet.
That was a really sweet episode. It was a real episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like that. I actually like the idea of ordering a store setup. and just having it delivered to my house exactly as this. I think that's brilliant personally.
It is.
Because like they were all mocking him and they all thought it was a big stupid thing, but I'm an event planner and I can plan a wedding like nobody's business. I can design it, I can do all that stuff. That doesn't look good in a house. I don't know how to decorate a house. The first house we ever bought didn't see a single picture put up that wasn't on a nail that was used by a previous owner.
Oh my gosh.
So I would really like to know the name of the company that delivers store setups, because I go into Home Goods or Hobby Lobby and like, ooh, hey, I want that. But I can't make my house look like that. I'll buy the stuff and I still can't make it look right. So Ted's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dan Levy, if that is really something that you put in the script because it's a real thing, can you please tell me which stores do that? Because I would like to hire them out.
Yes.
Even if they're from Canada. I'm not that far from Canada. I'm willing to pay that price.
Come help me, please.
I think that too, when Ted goes away and he comes back, obviously that's a head turner moment for like everybody, because he is a good looking guy naturally. I mean, it's his name is Dustin Milligan, for those of you who don't know what his name is, but he's a very attractive guy. But they intentionally played that down for the first season, obviously, because they wanted to make him nerdy. They wanted to make him kind of like too good, home goody. And it's even Mutt brings that up when Alexis asks him, like, how you know a guy likes you. And Mutt's like, you would know by the end of the day if you were dating me that I was into you. And he does it like sultry, slow talk thing. But Ted is just so sweet and he's so gentlemanly and he never really changes that. But when he comes back from that vacation on the motorcycle with a beard, which is slightly reminiscent of Mutt, and he comes back with a new outlook, he's so much more sure of himself.
Yeah.
And
which makes him even more attractive.
I really think that's what it is how sure of himself he is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think my other favorite Ted is it's not a Ted moment necessarily, but it's a Ted scene when David goes in there to talk to him about Alexis and him and their relationship and the feelings. And he grabs a dog biscuit and he takes a bite of it like it's a cookie. It's like, that's a dog biscuit. And David just says, what am I supposed to do now? And just keeps eating it. And Ted is another one like Twyla who he just never judges anyone. And he really, really enjoys people. And I think that's a really good trait to have.
Yeah.
I like that about him.
Oh, yeah. I was just watching the little gif of when he shows up to Alexis's graduation. Oh, such a sweet moment.
Did anyone else think it was weird that he sat with the graduates next to Alexis?
Yes. It was very odd.
It drives me nuts every time I see that.
They wouldn't not allowed. I couldn't sit next to my boyfriend during graduation, so
that's not allowed.
That was rude. Which is my husband now.
See? So does anybody have a favorite? Do you guys have a favorite Ted moment or Ted scene?
I already told you mine.
Tiffany?
So did I.
I remember clearly what they are. My memory is stellar.
We had our Ted moments ready this time.
All right. So we've done Roland. Stevie, let's talk Stevie.
Ooh, yeah.
I love Stevie.
I do too.
I feel like Stevie is my spirit animal.
She's hilarious. Whatever.
I love when she puts, I think we talked about this in the last episode, but I love when she puts on the makeup that Johnny bought her for her birthday, for doing well. And then also in that scene, or the same episode when David's building a chest and he goes out there to ask her where certain things are, toolboxes and hammers and whatnot. She's like, didn't she say I would say the chest making toolbox or something like that? Was it that episode that she was saying that?
I don't remember.
She was seeing, and then when he's like, what's minimum wage? Like $45 an hour.
45.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly
that sounds about right. I love that he gets fired from that job pretty much because of Johnny. David, line 1. David Rose, line 1.
And he doesn't even like when he walks out, he just looks at the lady and He's like, yeah. And then just takes up his apron and hands it to her. But with Stevie, when Johnny came in there looking for a realtor's number and a plumber because the ceiling was leaking on him, that brown, disgusting with
Yeah.
we're not going to go into that. That makes me sick.
No.
But I don't think Stevie was dialing anybody because he asked for a plumber. She theoretically called somebody and then held her phone there for a millisecond, put it down, and then handed him Ray's card. And then he walked out and she never picked up the phone again. She never actually called anybody. She literally just pretended. I don't even think she dialed the number. I think she just picked up the phone.
I think so.
When he asked for a realtor, she put the phone down and then gave him Ray's card. This is the best one in town. Also, the only one in town. So there's that. And everything she says is so deadpan. I think David says at one time, I like you. You have spunk or something like that.
That's not what I would really think of Stevie.
What, spunky?
No.
No, she's snarky.
That is, yeah, that's
Yes.
a good S word for her.
But I think with Stevie too, like she has a lot of baggage. Obviously, you look at the way and this is not because it's funny, but one of my favorite scenes, just not even a Stevie moment, just one of my favorite scenes is when Moira gives her a chance with Cabaret. And Moira tells her that she can do it and that she believes in her. And the way Stevie just tears up, because I don't think she's ever really heard, even from David, I don't think she's really ever heard anyone say that to her.
No.
That they believe in, well, other than Johnny and Moira, actually. Because when they're doing the hotel stuff too, and Johnny's like, you can do this. I have faith that you can do this. And so Johnny and Moira are actually, as self-centered as their build is being, are the only ones to tell Stevie what she really needed to hear, what any person really needs to hear. And I thought it was really, really nicely done that was how they coordinated it. The Roses, who were the wealthy, exact opposite of Stevie and her upbringing, were the ones to make her know that she had any value. And I think that in the first couple of seasons, like, I don't think Stevie thinks she had any value at all, anything to offer anybody. I think she just kind of thought she thought she was better than people in terms of like smartness. That's a terrible terminology for that in terms of what's the right word there? In terms of wits, smarts, but smartness is not it.
I like wits.
I'm displaying my IQ right now. But I think she thought she was, oh my gosh, what I meant to say is I think she thinks she's smarter than everybody. Oh, that's such an easy thing to say. I don't know why I can think of that. But so I think she thinks she's kind of better in that sense. But I think that she knows that because she even says when her cousin comes to town that that's kind of where she belongs, that she's only good enough for that crowd of people. Speaking of that, when her cousin comes to town and she gets hammered with him in that room and David finds her in there and she just keeps apologizing to him about being drunk with them. And it shows that scene made me kind of sad.
Yeah.
To see how she thought of herself in there. And she was like, I really hate these people, but she was with them because I think drinking just kind of numbed her out. And that's why she almost like had to do it all the time because she hated living in the town. You look at how excited she was when David asked her to move to New York. She would have dropped it all in a minute to get out of Schitt's Creek and just go somewhere. And I felt so sad for her when it wasn't a romantic thing and she wanted it to be.
I know.
But I'm glad that I don't think you can't have two people who are the exact same be together and not have them kill each other. Can you imagine? Just take a moment to imagine Stevie and David living together as romantic partners. Like Stevie would kill him in a hot second. Stevie would murder him in his sleep. Yeah. There's
I like that they separated.
Yeah. They are better. And I think the reason they work so well as friends is because Stevie understands where David's come from, what he feels, and vice versa, because they are the same person. Just different circumstances. But Stevie is another one we see a lot of growth from. Because she went to literally caring about absolutely nothing because she thought she had no worth and no value to caring about her, not necessarily her appearance, but her life's appearance and what she's doing, to the point that she just wanted to better herself. And that, when you want to better yourself, when you try to better yourself, that shows you how much value you have in yourself. Like when she went to try out for that airline and she got the
Oh,
job,
yeah.
and she was it Larry Air? Was that the name of it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And her story about didn't she leave after the first day because it was super unsafe in that plane, and she had David drive her away.
I can't remember. Yeah, she left like soon after, but I don't
It was
remember
soon after. I don't
why.
think it was the first day, but it was soon after.
Can't remember.
And when they did that, when Alexis had him go to that cult, Stevie was the one who figured it out, but was just kind of like, yeah, we'll go with it. We're fine. Who
Yeah.
was the one who said that they figured it was a cult, but they just wanted to support her? Was that Twyla?
Yeah, she knew it was a cult because her mom had her in it before.
Oh.
That's another great Twyla story. Didn't she know the leader by name?
Here she goes again.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, I think so.
And by the end, Stevie, the biggest growth I think you can see is Stevie is when she openly cries with David on that car in the final. I don't know if it was the final episode or it was second to last episode. I don't remember which one it was, if it was the last or the second to last. But there's no way she would have done that when they first moved to town. There's no way she would have allowed anyone at all to ever see her like that at all. And she did. She allowed herself to be seen as vulnerable. And I think I think the reason is because she started to see that there's strength in that, not weakness.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Do you guys have a favorite Stevie moment or Stevie line or anything?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Because I have a lot.
Yeah, there's so many good Stevie moments.
There's like one we've already kind of touched on is when her and David are trying to become the stewardess
Yeah.
for the airline.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorites. It's just seeing them being competitive.
Yeah.
Or when
the turkey shoot.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like when she's there for David.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like whenever he found out that Moira and Johnny had pretty much bought his art and all that, and she's just there for him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have like an exact favorite. Again,
There's
it's just
too many
like,
good ones.
Yeah.
you know, I loved her seeing her and David's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'd
that was
agree
one
with
of
that.
my favorites. Tiffany, do you have one?
I like her line when they're wine shopping, and she says she's got her own Christmas tradition, except it's one night and 12 bottles of wine.
She's so phenomenal. I do like the scene too when she and David sleep together and Johnny comes in the next morning and Stevie's being real weird about it because obviously Johnny is knocking on the door. She's like, no, we're fine. We're fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. If you're in trouble, blink twice. Stevie she doesn't handle those things well. She can't. And it's funny because like she lies all the time. But when she lies, it's like a joke. She's not actually like lying to lie. But when it comes to like something like that, she's like, I'm not doing this game. I'm not going to pretend anything. This is what it is.
I liked when her and David went to stay at the hotel too. The little trip they did. That was cute.
That was so nice.
Yeah.
What did he say to her then when they were on the bed? That he said something like, you realize that you're my best friend in the world or something like that. And he said how sad it was. What happened there? Do you guys remember?
Can't think of what exactly you said.
I think Stevie is such a dynamic character because she's got those moments where she like even when she talks to Johnny about how she doesn't think she can do this and how those moments when she just lets herself be really open and really honest are really, really beautiful things. All right, let's talk about how about Ronnie?
Ronnie?
Yeah, let's talk about Ronnie.
Okay. I like Ronnie. I just covered her on the group for the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Found out so much more information about her, which makes me even love her more.
She's another funny one.
She is hilarious.
She's so deadpan all the time.
Yes. Which makes it 10 times more hilarious.
She's deadpan and she's supremely irritated at everybody and everything.
All the time.
I like the scene when Moira is running for council and Ronnie's like, I got a key demographic that you're gonna want to be a part of. And then Moira has to change her speech from lesbians to entrepreneurs. And at the end, isn't Ronnie with her girlfriend or her partner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ronnie knew. She knew the whole time exactly what was happening. She just really
yeah.
enjoys seeing Moira squirm. And I love that about Ronnie's character. I have one of my favorite quotes is from the roast episode. When Moira's trying to teach Johnny how to be good at a roast. And then Johnny was saying he's got like 10 other ones. Like, I've got like 10 other ones like these. And she's like, that's 10 too many, Johnny. You got to be short and quick, like Roland in the bedroom.
Oh God.
I love her. She's sassy and she's another one who we don't see a change in her character because again, she is firm in who she is. She is not uncertain about who she is. She doesn't dislike who she really enjoys who she is, as she should, because Ronnie is also awesome. But I like how she is very certain of where she is in life, of who she is in life, and she's satisfied with what she has.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also freaking hilarious.
The business community.
Yeah.
I had to find
You said
it.
a key demographic. What did you mean?
Business community. Equality, freedom, marriage. These are the rights of every community, and even more specifically, the business community. You did not choose this life.
It shows
No.
you.
Each one of you was born to be an entrepreneur.
Ronnie had to have loved that.
Oh my gosh.
Do you guys have a favorite Ronnie scene or line or anything?
I know I do. Trust me, I know I do because I know she makes me laugh a lot.
Every time she's on the screen, and even you guys know by now. And if you don't know, I don't know what podcast you've been listening to, but you know I love the nonverbal. I love it. And Ronnie is golden with that. Her facial expressions are so amazing. And that's what makes me laugh almost every time she's on the screen. Her eye roll, I wish I had that could have been eye roll. I don't. Her eye roll is awesome. Tiffany, do you have a favorite Ronnie line or moment?
I'm trying to think too.
That's what I'm looking at. I like the episode where she's working for David and Patrick.
Oh.
Trying to redo the bathroom. Her and Patrick are just hilarious back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't Patrick accuse her of cheating them, costing them, charging them too much money and then not delivering the right product? And then Ronnie has to explain it to him, and then they have a baseball game. And then everything he did keeps getting thrown in his face the entire baseball game.
Yeah.
Oh, Ronnie and Roland take David turkey hunting.
Yeah, that's a really good episode. I love that one.
Funny.
That was a good one.
Doesn't Ronnie say something to him when he shoots the gun? Yeah, because Ronnie's next to David when he shoots something and it's nothing. He shoots at nothing. And then, well, I know he doesn't shoot at nothing, but I think he just hits it like in the side. So he hurts it, but he doesn't kill it. And then Ronnie makes him put the gun down. I need to find out what exactly she said, but that was one of my favorite things, that how Ronnie is so no nonsense. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, that even if she doesn't say that, like, that's what you're hearing come out of her mouth. All right, speaking of Ronnie and David, I don't think you're gonna guess this, but we're gonna go into what our code word is right now.
That's a good one.
And our code word is apothecary.
Apothecary. APOTHECARY. In case anybody did not know how to spell apothecary.
So if you would like to know what happened before we started this podcast, Two of us were very sure how to spell apothecary, but one was not. And then that confused the other two, who then nobody knew how to spell apothecary. Turns out the two were right, but they lost all their confidence in the face of the smarter one, didn't know how to spell it. So apothecary is the term.
Hey,
After
like I
Rose's
put the A instead
apothecary.
of an E.
I didn't give any names.
I'll call myself out. It's okay. We can't always spell all the time.
All right. So Amanda, you want to tell them how it works?
How it's gonna work is every podcast we do, we will be saying a special code word. We won't say it at the beginning or the end. We'll say it somewhere kind of in the middle, kind of random. And the first podcast that we set it on was the Vampire Diaries episode that premiered on July 28th. And we will be sending something out in our groups, all the groups that we're in, and the Fandom Family Chats podcast page, directions on how to get us all the words that you have collected. So then you send them in. Whoever we choose in the little spinny wheel, whoever sends us the most words will be mailed a special prize. Not just an edit, y'all.
That's
Special prize.
exciting.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
Tiffany, are you very excited?
Yes.
Tiffany's ecstatic. She's Ronnie ecstatic.
She is. You should see her face right now.
Tiffany's good with the nonverbal too. It's too bad none of you can ever see it.
I have been told that a time or two.
There's, like with Ronnie, when you look at Tiffany's face, there's not usually a doubt of what she's thinking.
Yeah, that's true. My face gives everything away.
Really, we've got four. We only have four more. And two of them are pretty small parts.
Okay,
So-
yeah, the smaller we're going down, the less I can remember from the first time I watched.
Well, this one you'll know a lot about.
Okay.
So they're talking about David. We're talking about Patrick.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
But you look nervous for a minute. Like
Well, Ronnie was hard for me to talk about because I'm like, I can't. I remember her. I remember her making me laugh, but I don't really like remember moments exactly.
Mhm.
This is why I'm rewatching.
Yeah.
And do we consider Patrick a townie because he wasn't actually from Schitt's Creek?
Yes, we are going to consider Tony only because he's lived there for so long and because we have to talk about Patrick.
How long has he lived here? Do they mention that? Because I don't remember.
I think right after high school he moved over there, didn't he? Like when he left Rachel the last time, I think he moved to Schitt's Creek. Because he worked with Ray for quite a few years. I think that's how I don't think they ever explicitly say.
Yeah, I don't remember them
but
ever
I-
actually saying.
I think just I assume that because when Rachel comes back to town to talk to him, it was, you just left, and I assumed it was to go there. No, 6 months, I think, because he broke up with Rachel 6 months prior, and then he left, and she knew to come find him in Schitt's Creek. But I thought she said when she was talking about it, I thought she said that they had been broken up on and off for a couple of years, so that's what gave me the opinion that he had been there for a while. And because of how engrossed he was in Ray's office and how comfortable he was there. When we see him.
Comfortable Ray was in his room.
Yes. So I like that when we first see Patrick, this is one of my, it's not my favorite Patrick moment, but it's my favorite Patrick David moments of when David calls him and leaves like 40 voice messages. And at one point he's like, "Hi, David, this is Patrick." And then he keeps talking and then he calls back. He's like, "Did I just call you David? And I call myself Patrick. That's not right." And when he goes to talk to Patrick about it, Patrick acts like, "I didn't hear anything." And then when he's leaving, Patrick points out, I can't remember. I wish I remembered the exact message he pointed out, but he clearly was telling David, "Yeah, I heard all those messages you left." So I just like how how kind of he's not really a jokester and he's not really sarcastic ever, but he's just very, I don't know, maybe honestly snarky. I don't know. I think one of my favorites, other than the like when he sings the song to David, because I mean that has to be up on everybody's list when he sings it.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to go through moments right now because I'm like, that's exactly what my favorite moment I would say, but I'm trying to jog my brain right now because I want to a different moment.
I like the whole, it's not really a moment or a scene or an episode, but it's the storyline of when they're together for 4 months and then Patrick sends him the cookie at the barbecue, being our cookie for 4 months. Yes. And then that's the episode where Rachel shows up and Patrick starts sending David all these gifts.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I put like 7 S's on the end of that word, but he gives David all these gifts. Gifts. And David just keeps taking it. And then David tries to talk to Patrick. Well, see, I've never had anyone do that for me before. So I didn't know how long it had to go on. And then Patrick was like, so you just let me suffer because I was buying you gifts and I see that you like the beanie I got you and you're wearing the bracelet and stuff like that. But then what I like about it is when David tries to make it up to him, he's like, I'd really like a tea. And then he comes back and Patrick's like, this would all be a lot better if I had some tea. just like that's what I love about Patrick. It's that kind of attitude where he's not necessarily sarcastic, but he's very like, you realize you're being an idiot right now, right? But very kindly. And I don't know how to describe that personality trait, but that's why I love Patrick so much, because he's like that all the time. Even when David sings to him, he's like, people can see you, right? he's like that all the time. I love that.
I always felt like he was one of the most normal ones in that town.
Because he's not from there.
Yep.
True.
He didn't have to grow up with Roland being the leader of the town he grew up in. It all trickles down from the top, Amanda.
Very true. Very true. I didn't think about it that way.
And I think we can say that we do see a lot of growth in Patrick. I mean, not personality wise, but clearly when he meets David, he's interested, he's attracted, but he's never done anything like that before. He's never gone in that direction before. So in that sense, we see a lot of growth in Patrick. But Patrick is another one who I got the sense when we first see him that he doesn't like himself very much.
Yeah, some like low self-esteem.
Yeah. But then the longer he's with David, I feel like the more he starts to like himself, because when he first meets David, their interaction is kind of like, wow, you're a little bit rude, dude. And I think that's because probably part of it is because he's been struggling with it. I mean, you look at when he didn't want his parents to know, right? That he and David were together. So, I mean, there's a lot of shame in that when you have that and you don't want anybody to know. And that's probably part of the reason that I got the vibe that he didn't like himself very much. Yeah. But the more he lived out who he was and the more he stepped out with David, the more confident he became in who he was as a person. And again, I think it goes back to value and worth. And I think that's even when they accepted their Emmy speech or their Grammys or whatever. They didn't win Grammys. What were they? What did they win?
It was Emmys.
Because they swept the Emmys. They won like every category they were nominated for. Yeah. Dan Levy stood up there and he said, this is a show about acceptance and about knowing your worth and your value. And they did a really good job at almost every single character showing those, either they already had knowledge of their self-worth and lived it out, or through the show, we got to watch them go from, I'm not worth it, to, wow, I actually do have purpose. I actually do have value. And you see that in Patrick. And I think that as the show progresses and as he's with David, the longer he's with him, the more value Patrick finds in himself.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
And that's I loved watching Patrick find himself.
Yeah. I love his conversation with his dad whenever he comes out to him. And I was so nervous.
When Johnny did it first.
Oh God, I know. They just had to throw in that humor for it.
I did think for a minute that his parents are going to be like, no, we're done. You're not our son anymore.
I was scared.
Yeah. But they were better than that.
Yeah. I remember watching it and being like actually scared about It's
Yeah.
a TV show, I know, but just
But still,
the anxiety I had, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, please don't be mean. Please don't be mean. Because that just kills me
because
when
I mean,
that stuff happens.
the thing is, and I think this is another thing the show is good at displaying, is that no matter where your beliefs lie, religious, political, otherwise, you don't get to make other people feel like trash just
Mhm.
because you believe differently than they do. You don't get to tell people that they are worth nothing because they don't live like you do. You don't get to do that because they're human beings, and you can't treat people that way. And I think that
Exactly.
I think that's part of the reason that they probably wrote that in that way, is because I mean, Daniel Levy, he had said that he never had problems coming out to his parents. His dad was like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I knew.
Duh.
We've known the whole time. I'm glad you
Yeah.
told us though.
I
But
love
think-
parents like that.
But I think Dan is very much aware that it's not that way for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think he wanted to kind of use this as a platform to encourage people to not try to hide and say, just because you have this sexual orientation, just because you feel this way, it doesn't take away any of your worth or any of your value.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you don't believe in that lifestyle, you can still be loving, and you can still be kind, and you can still tell people, you know what, I love you. And
Mhm.
that's just it. I just love you. And it doesn't
Yep.
matter if you agree with their lifestyle or not, you can still be that way.
Mind your own.
And so I think they did a really good job with that. And I think I
agree.
was nervous for a minute that they were, because I don't like shows. I mean, I'm a Christian, so I don't like shows that take people that are of a Christian mindset and then make them treat people like garbage. That really makes me mad, because that's not the right way to treat people. That's not how you talk to people. It's not any way that any person should be treated. So I thought that's how it was going to go, was that they were going to be kind of like hyper religious and be like, we're disowning you.
Yeah.
I can't imagine as a parent doing that to my child for
No.
that reason. I can't imagine that. And so that's why I was nervous about it. And I was really glad that I mean, that was the right response to have. They were so loving, and they were so gentle, and they were so kind to Patrick and David too. And it wasn't just Patrick that they were kind and gentle. They were kind and Patrick to David too.
Yeah.
And
Which I love.
that was really refreshing for me to see on screen, I thought.
Mhm.
And I do love when they're up on that mountain and in season 6, when Patrick is proposing to David, and and why, and we talked about this I think before, why Patrick thought a
Why?
hike was the way to David Rose's heart, I will never know. But I think David, maybe part of it is that Patrick likes to push people out of their comfort zones, and he wanted David to experience everything. But when they're up in that mountain and David is so clearly oblivious to what's happening, and Patrick is so clearly nervous, it was so sweet how he felt unsure of what his response was going to be. And I thought, that's so sweet, because obviously his answer is going to be yes, but still, it's so sweet that you're so nervous about it. And he knew David well enough to give him 4 rings.
I know. So sweet.
All right, I've talked a lot about Patrick. You guys have something to say about Patrick too?
No. I think we covered my favorite moment. So
Which was your favorite?
That's one of my favorites.
whenever he
mountaintop?
comes out to his dad,
Oh, okay.
that's just
That's
I
your
love
not
that
even
one
a
too.
funny moment, but it's just so sweet.
Mhm.
I loved how they did it.
Yeah.
I think when we first meet Patrick is probably my favorite moment. Just how sarcastic he is with
Yep.
David. And you can tell he's so clearly flirting with him when he
Yep.
doesn't even realize he's doing it right away.
Mhm.
It's so cute.
Yeah, I don't think he could even
I
help
love
himself.
the first meeting. No, he can't.
And
I
their
love it.
first date too. I love that moment too, when Patrick invited David out and David invited Stevie.
Invited
She's like,
Stevie.
this is a date. No, it's not a date. It's not a date. And Stevie's like, if I pulled this present out of this bag and it's something sentimental, this is a date. And what was it there? Was it he framed, what did he frame? The license or the first dollar? What did he frame?
Their first receipt.
Their first receipt. That's what it was. Yeah. And then David got really emotional, and Patrick was just really nervous the whole night. And I think when Stevie was there, it just kind of made him feel like, oh, I've misinterpreted the whole situation. But then Stevie laughed, and Patrick was actually able to be like, no, I wanted to do this for you because this is nice and it's kind and I like you. And
Yeah.
I thought that was a really sweet
He
moment.
says, this is not nothing.
Yep. Mhm. That was really
In
sweet.
true David fashion.
And I think it's really obviously it's scripted by someone else, but I think it's intuitive of David's character to know that that's what Patrick needed to hear, because he
Mhm.
could have just been David and just said nothing, but David made a point to let him know that, no, I see you and I see
Yeah.
what you did, and it's important what you did, and what you're doing is important. 'Cause
Mhm.
that was the same time they had their first kiss, right? That same date. I mean, obviously not there in the restaurant, but when they're in the car, it was after that date, right?
Yeah, it was. I know it was
Yeah.
in the car. I think it was the same day.
Yeah.
All right. So do you have anything else you want to say about Patrick?
I could probably keep talking about him, but I think we should move on.
Let's talk Bob. The first time we see him on screen, I don't even know if this is the first time, but my very first memory of seeing Bob is that little walk jog he does. That's the whole reason I like him.
Bob dog.
That is literally the whole reason I like him.
That is amazing. I do know that one.
I just love it. And every single time he's on screen, I just laugh because he can't not do that jog.
No.
It's so amazing. And I loved his bagel idea. I thought that was brilliant. Of course, it was a little anti-Semitic because the only reason he wanted Johnny to do it is because Johnny was Jewish. But still, I thought Schitt's Creek could use a bagel shop. I thought that was a really good money-making idea.
I did too.
And it's a whole lot better than raw milk stealing Johnny.
Oh, gosh. Forgot about that
I
part.
said whole milk, but I meant raw milk.
I knew what you meant.
That's a funny episode with Bob.
Yes, that's one of my favorite ones. I like when he's like, so all you got to do is just clean up this over here and clean this and then pay this. And Johnny's like, no, I'm not even going to be using that. Why would I do that? And then there was one point when Bob's like, so I'm going to go to lunch and this person's coming in to get this fixed on their car. So you can take care of that. She's like, I don't work here, Bob.
Oh.
And doesn't Bob just laugh and walk out? He's like, oh, Johnny. And then he just laughs and does his walk jog out of the room. I like it when he's trying to spice up things with Gwen because he can feel her pulling away, and he comes in that all leather outfit. He tries to do his walk jog in the leather.
Gosh. I was just commenting on his little walk jog in that.
It looked like his legs stuck together.
Yes. It's playing in my head right now.
And then when he and Gwen just waited for Johnny and Moira to finish.
It's so weird. Who does that?
You could have left the house or something. Why did you have to sit outside the room?
They were just sitting there reading a book when they walked out. Like it was completely normal.
And then didn't they comment on it?
Yes.
About how good they did?
Yes.
Yes.
Do they? I don't think they even go to the Schitts.
Roland's? No, I think they just go home.
They just go home.
Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mission accomplished.
I like to when Bob's brother dies and he tries to commission Johnny to do the funeral or speak at the funeral. He really admired you, Johnny. You would be a big favorite to him. And then Johnny's at the funeral. Johnny's like, how did he die? Oh, tragic accident. That ceiling fan. You don't want to laugh at suicide. I don't know how the Levies made that funny, because clearly you don't want to laugh about suicide because you just feel like a horrible, horrible, horrible person.
Yes.
But that was really funny.
I know.
It was more how naive Bob was, how misinformed he was, and the horror on Johnny's face getting worse and worse and worse.
Trying to, yes. Oh my gosh.
And then doesn't he ask Moira to sing for them again at the end? One more song, Moira, please.
Oh my gosh. I was just watching that one with the cabin today. So that's stuck in my head now.
I love that episode so much.
Oh my gosh. Johnny going through that window. checking his jacket. No rips. Turns around, half the back is ripped.
Oh, Johnny Rose.
Who locks a door?
I like the episode too when Johnny wants to borrow Bob's car to go to the unemployment agency. And then Bob's like, but no, don't take it on the highway. And no left turns, just right turns. Oh no, I wouldn't dream it. And then the car breaks down and Bob's like, all right, I'll give it to you for 2,000. No, I'm not buying this car from you. No.
You got mine in
The
there.
car scene was my favorite Bob moment. I love that one. It's hilarious.
Doesn't
The end, he's
Johnny
just
end
like,
up
let's go
walking-
back and we'll get the paperwork ready. I'm not buying this car, Bob. It's just so funny. Bob's just going on and on like he's gonna buy it. You know he's not gonna buy it. Come on, Bob.
I feel like my favorite one is them sitting outside that room talking to Johnny and Moira after. It was so awkwardly funny.
Nice. That was nice. I think
There's
mine
a
is the
lot.
garage when they're in the garage and Johnny's working from there. I think that's my favorite. Do you have anything else you want to say about Bob? And Bob is obviously he gets a little sadder in the final season, but that's because Gwen left him for her something instructor.
Yeah, I'm confused what the point of Gwen even was.
It's
Like he was so obsessed with his wife the whole time, and then she ends up leaving him.
Yeah.
probably why she ended up leaving him.
It's
Well.
true.
It's not right. Poor Bob.
I don't think Bob deserved to be left. No, I think Gwen was probably frustrated with. Well, Bob is Bob.
Yeah, I can see that.
Bob doesn't catch on to things very quickly, and when you do give Bob an answer, he's like, "You're just playing. That's not really how you feel."
Oh,
Speaking
wow.
of Gwen,
Mhm.
we only see her a couple times. We see her at the cabin, obviously. We hear
Yeah.
about her a lot, but we just
Yeah.
see her at the cabin. We see her at that poker night thing where she's got the visor, and I actually thought she was a man for a minute until I realized it was Gwen. She's not a jazzy girl, is she? No, she is a jazzy girl, isn't she? Yeah, I think she's in there.
Is she?
I believe so.
But we don't really, it's weird because like she's talked about all the time. We know who she is. She's a prominent character because of how often she's mentioned, but you never really hear her in the Jazzy Girls. She's never singled out in Jazzy Gal. She's never anything in the Jazzy Gals. We just know she's in there because we happen to see her in the background.
Yeah. She's
And
not
then-
big.
And clearly, I think we could probably say that everything Bob says about her is embellished.
Yeah.
Because Bob was devoted to that woman.
No, she left him for their pasture.
Shut up. Really?
Really?
I don't remember that at all.
I don't either.
It
I don't
says
think that's
there's
right.
Nothing. This is from Schitt's Creek Wiki Fandom.
Yeah, that's not right. Remember
Says
the one with
there's
Vampire
nothing
Diaries?
Bob enjoys more than sharing a magazine or the latest Rose misadventure with his handsome wife, Gwen.
He's handsome.
Handsome wife. Whom Bob believes he's happily married to. However, Gwen later leaves him for their pasture. She's into bad boys now. And eventually takes Bob's home too.
I remember that. She took everything he owned.
So yeah, apparently it was the pasture.
This says, just rewatching a few episodes and realized that the writers have really built in a lot of little details leading up to Bob and Gwen's divorce. I usually glaze over his dialogue, but then a comment about Gwen accidentally locking him out of the house along with his failure to secure Christmas Town for the general store brought the runner into clear view. They asked if viewers caught any other details, and someone said when she had to miss the softball game because she was out of town meeting a friend from the internet. I forgot about that. I remember that now. Poor Bob. He's so oblivious. When Roland went to check on a down Parla and leaving his baby in the store with David, Gwen was saved from electrocution because she was wearing a rubber dress. I remember them saying that. Which is like BDSM sort of stuff. Like the rubber dress is just oh, that's disturbing. So we talked Gwen. Do we have anything else we can even say about Gwen? I don't know.
Really. Poor Gwen, she doesn't have very much time.
Poor Gwen. Gwen was clearly a bit crazy.
Gwen was crazy. I could have seen her more.
That's true. She
I
would have
think
been
she
fun
would
to
have given
watch.
us good stuff.
I do feel bad that Bob is always trying to please her, and Bob is always so
know.
worried about how she's going to react, and he's so he does say a lot of stuff like, "Oh yeah, Gwen locked me out of the house last time," and then he'd laugh like, "Dude, that's not normal, man." That's, someone needs
loves
to
her.
tell that man that that's not a normal, healthy relationship.
No.
So we know that there are more townies, like Darlene's cousin should get an honorary mention. Tiffany, that was one of your favorite things you put in our chat, right? Darlene's cousin.
Yes.
You want to tell people what that is? Without
Um,
don't say the whole word there. Abbreviate that word a bit.
Darlene's cousin is the woman standing outside of the Rose Apothecary before the soft opening, the David and Patrick launch. I forget what happens. I don't know if he bumps into her or what, but what is it? She asks David who he is. He tells her he's the owner. He says, "Who are you?" That's right. Darlene's cousin. The F are you? And just the look on David's face is just absolutely hilarious. He's just appalled.
Oh man. Trixie.
So we have people like her. We have a lot of other Tonys. We have Wendy, who we forgot to talk about just now.
Ray. We
Wendy-
forgot Ray.
No, he was who I was going to go into next,
Okay.
but I just realized that I forgot about Wendy.
Wendy's
Wendy
hilarious.
is the owner of the blouse barn, gives David his first job, and David sort of overcharges everything, so she runs out of money really fast. And then she has to fire him, but she likes what he's done in the store, which is weird because what he's done in the store is not conducive to purchases.
He's
And
in
then
David's world again.
and then she starts another business with a David lookalike, selling David like products.
Yes.
And I love that you can actually, in an earlier episode, you can actually see that dude strolling through the store, through Rose Apothecary.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch.
In your rewatch, watch for it.
Yes.
But it's hard because you don't exactly know which episode it is, because you don't know what to look for it until you see the episode where they're selling their stuff. And they're like, oh wait, that guy was in a previous episode. So you go back about it. And I don't remember which episode it's in. But so that's Wendy is she wants to make it big, but she's very simple-minded. Anybody have anything to say about Wendy, really?
No. Not really. I mean, she played a small
We didn't see her
part.
for too long.
She's only like 4 or 5 episodes, right?
Not many.
Even Ray had more
no, not
episodes than she
many.
did. I'm gonna look up how many episodes. She was in 6 episodes. That's it. Just 6.
Yeah.
And Jake, we forgot about Jake.
Oh.
Jake was the very attractive fellow who's also in another Canadian show. But anyway, so Jake is a very tall guy who is much like David in terms of what type of person he prefers. And he starts a thing with Stevie of, I will get her to like, he's into me, not you. Stevie's like, no, he's into me, not you. And then we find out he's into both of them.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And there's a scene when Jake is at David's hotel room. And I almost said, I couldn't think if I wanted to call it house or apartment or what I wanted to call it.
His room.
And Moira and Johnny walk in there like, oh. And Jake is just standing there and basically nothing. Just a towel, just hanging out.
Yep.
And then the scene where he comes by in his truck and David's like, what are you doing here? I'm here to pick up Stevie. And so yeah, Tim was watching him. But later on, after David ends things with him, isn't he still with Stevie for a while?
Yeah.
He was pretty.
He was pretty.
He's very, very tall.
I'm looking at him right now.
He's
He's a furniture maker. That's right.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what he did. I had to look that up.
So I think, do you have anything particularly you want to say about Jake? We don't see him in a whole lot of episodes.
No.
We see him in 5 episodes, one less than Wendy. But I mean, that's really all there is to him. He's very sure of himself. He's very confident in himself, and he
Yes,
goes
and
after what he wants, and that's it.
He wanted David and Stevie.
So he went.
And then Patrick.
Did he?
He wanted him. Remember, he invited him to the party.
Oh,
house?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he invited a lot of people to this very intimate party.
I remember
I
that
guess
now.
you could call it.
Didn't David walk him over there? Didn't David walk him over there? Or did Patrick? Because I just remember him going down the hallway talking with David, but maybe that's in my head.
Yeah, Patrick and David went over together. And I remember they were standing outside of his door talking about Patrick's sleeves on his shirt, how tight his shirt was. You could tell Patrick was really nervous to go.
I'm glad, because he's, as much as great, you got confidence, you know what you want. This is not what's for you. This is not gonna work.
No.
So I'm glad that ended.
Oh yeah. I thought it was funny. And I liked it for a minute, but I'm glad when it ended.
Okay, so the last one I thought about is Ray. That's the only one we have left.
Ray, the jack of all trades.
Ray is the Kirk of Schitt's
Kirk.
Creek.
I was about to say the Kirk.
But does he really? Isn't he just a photographer and a realtor? Okay, because I was gonna call him the Kirk of Schitt's Creek, but then I realized I think he's only got a couple jobs.
Does he only have 2?
I think he only has. Isn't there the only 2 mentioned?
I'm gonna look it up. He's
Oh,
a real
he's a
estate
realtor?
agent, travel agent, photographer, Christmas tree salesman, clothes organizer,
Closet organizer.
office processes paperwork, such as David's incorporation papers. So he has several jobs.
The photographer is probably my favorite. I like the pictures he puts together for the engagement, and the other couple that's standing there in the office when David first goes over there. The Asian couple that he's having them do all these weird things for their pictures.
Oh yeah.
He's so funny. I love Ray.
I do too.
I like the color of Patrick's skins for that photo shoot. He looks like he's Ray.
Everybody's like, you can't notice. You barely even notice it.
I like when he's almost in that same first few scenes where you see him first few episodes, whenever they're talking about the sign, and Johnny's like, we're gonna have to talk about that sign. And then when he goes to the council to talk about the sign, Ray's like, oh, I knew he was gonna say something. Like, I already knew this guy was gonna cause problems. I just like everywhere you look, there's Ray.
Everywhere.
I know Patrick definitely felt that way when he was living with Ray.
Yeah.
I forgot about that storyline.
I did too, so you just now said it.
He just kept walking, especially the night when David stayed there, and he just kept walking in the door. You want pancakes? You want eggs? Shut the door, Ray.
He's such a nice guy.
He was a sweet.
Yes, he's so
I like
friendly.
Ray. What were you gonna say, Tiff?
He's just so super friendly.
Yeah.
He's another one who's always smiling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even when Johnny's saying rude things to him, he's smiling.
I like that episode where he goes to take photos at the hotel, and they just keep pushing Johnny out of the picture. Johnny,
so
over a little more. A little more, Johnny. Perfect. She's way over there.
And wasn't it Johnny's idea to get the picture too?
Yes.
Is there anything else we have to say about Ray?
I don't think so. You done?
Okay. So those are the Schitt's Creek Townies. Let us know if we forgot anyone. I think we went through the IMDb list. We hit most of the people who appeared in 5 episodes or more. I know there's some Jazzy Gals there's some Jazzy Gals who have names, but we don't really see anything from them, so there's not much to talk about with them. But let us know if we forgot anybody.
Yep.
And if you are not a part of our Facebook group, it's Schitt's Creek Rose Family Fan Club on Facebook. On our Twitter, you can follow us at Facebook Family Fan Clubs or FB Family Fan Clubs. Same with Instagram, FB Family Fan Clubs. And TikTok is same thing, FB Family Fan Clubs.
FB Family Fan Clubs.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to know what's going on with our podcast, we do have a podcast page on Facebook that's just under Fandom Family Chat. So you can go, feel free to enter there. And if you have any questions for us, or you want to get involved somehow, or you have anything you want us to be talking about, or anything you want us to be hitting on, you can email us at familyfanclub2021@gmail.com. And we would love to chat with you and have a dialogue. So remember what our code word is. Remember to keep track of all of our code words. If this is the first podcast you're listening to, go back all the way to our last Vampire Diaries one, which premiered the last Wednesday of July. I think it was the 28th, right? July 28th.
Yes.
So go back there. Every podcast from there until August 30th will have a code word in it. Make sure to check those code words. They're not always in the same spot. So you got to listen to the whole thing. It's just how it works. And maybe you'll find some entertainment there. And remember to rate and subscribe. The more you subscribe and rate us, the more content we can give you that you want to see, like cast and crew interviews. And we'll get some more credentials so that we can have more of those for you. And share with your friends. And don't forget to give us your feedback. We really want to know your feedback. We want to know how we're doing. We're just fans like you. So we want to know how you're doing and what you think. But on that note, I think we're going to head out. So we will see you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.